this is something when I started building it, I thought it was kind of frivolous. I thought it might be fun to do, but it's also very useful. I like my afternoon tea. Unfortunately, I'm busy doing things, an alarm might go off, and don't get to the tea bag. I'm not a slave to a tea bag, and my 3 minute soaking time, steeping time might turn into 5, 6, 45 minutes. And I thought, well, there's got to be a better way. And so, sure enough, this is what I came up with. This is the better way. So, this is my version of a TeaBot. I push one button, it starts the sequence, it's up and down 3 times. Third time it goes in, stays in. It does raise up 1 minute and per time for a minute, and then at the very end it raises up, of course, to finish. And that's it. How I made this though, when I realized that I wanted something, I went to Thingiverse and I looked at some examples, and some guy there who calls himself Snake P had posted this a few years ago, and a lot of this I do like. I like the scissor arm he designed. I understand it's a remake of somebody else's scissor arm, but he did an excellent job here. With the exception of this middle interface was not listed, the one that attaches the servo arm to the servo. Um, and so I did have to design this part, and it's actually posted on that OT and AT page there. And I didn't like his base. There's a lot of printing for just a base. And the interface box, you had to press a button several times to start each time, and I am not a several button pusher. Um, but his arms are fantastic, so I'm using those arms for it. Now, how I did my base, I wanted the base to do more than just be a base. This is actually the interface, how I use it. So this is made of 1 inch thick Baltic birch plywood, really tough stuff. And I actually use a 4-inch hole saw, drilled a hole, bandsaw the shape. The holes I put in this are 7/8 and 3/8. Now you can go to Thingiverse here, OT and AT, and download all the little press fit pieces that fit in these holes. They'll hold either LEDs or the potentiometer or the switch. Um, and the bottom of this, I actually had to route holes for the wires to go through, but I also had to route a little shallower area here for a piece of a very thin aluminum, 1/16 inch aluminum that fits in this. The aluminum is used to hold the box on the back. Um, and that's just, like I said, I did not pre-design the holes. I just drilled them into the box after I printed it. Wood screws in the front here. Everything is countersunk, so it's out of the way and it turned out really nice. I used a lot of hot glue to hold everything in place. Otherwise, LEDs might punch back through if you get hit or something. So now to power this and to control this, I did not want a lithium battery. Lithium batteries they're nice, useful, dangerous at times, especially if you get off-brand ones. I thought I'm just going to use a 5-volt wall wart. And this Arduino I had was the older style Arduino 5 volts. I designed this box to fit this printed circuit board. The printed circuit board artwork is all on Thingiverse if you want to give it a whirl. It makes things real clean, and they're not really hard to build if you get geared up for it. Like I said, I'm just using a plugging in. Yeah, I do use a wall wart. This low 5-volt system, hardly any amps, probably runs a whole year if I want to run it for probably a couple dollars per year. And that's if it's on all the time. It's hardly on at all, so I'm using just a trace. So anyway, I did actually add some capacitors to this because I'm sharing, the 5-volt system is shared by both the servos as well as the Arduino. And so I threw some capacitors larger than probably I should normally use, just to make sure that I think the signal's a little cleaner. It's not been a problem. Now, the interface system here, I built this is a 100K potentiometer, and I use it as a voltage divider. Okay, and you can just turn it left or right, and that feeds right to an analog pin of the Arduino. And you can then divide the analog pin, the 1023 by 5, 204, and come up with how many minutes you want. If you want to I use 5 minutes because that's for T. And then the green switch here is just basically a normally open switch. It actually starts the whole process. However, if the process is working, hasn't finished, I can push it again. It will actually stop the process. So how this works. There's potentiometer here. Each lit LED corresponds to 1 minute. This goes from 1 to 5 minutes, and simple as that. And I have to say how I appreciate this, because now I'm getting consistent tea. It's not too overdone. It's not overblown. It's just perfect. I'm just really been liking my afternoon tea because of this. So yeah, I've really grown to appreciate this a lot. Yeah, the frivolous thing has turned into a very useful thing, and I'm no longer a slave to the timer or the tea box. So anyway, the reason I made this thing, it was like, I think we had a high last week of -6 one day, and we had -19 that night. And this cold period, I built stuff like this. So anyway, hope this helps.